Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Soul Land 2 Peerless Tang Men based on novel. So let's start. Not soul engineers. Huo Yuhao made an accurate judgment immediately. Not only were these two not soul engineers, but they were even a very familiar type of soul master, evil soul masters. They were evil soul masters from the Holy Ghost Church. These two evil-titled Doluo were unfamiliar to Huo Yuhao. However, his expression immediately turned serious. Evil soul masters found it very easy in the early stages of their cultivation. They were able to improve by leaps and bounds. However, it was very difficult for an evil soul master to become a titled Doluo. It was even harder for them compared to ordinary soul masters. As a result, evil soul masters that could become titled Doluo were undoubtedly elites among evil soul masters. These two had to be honorary elders of the Holy Ghost Church even if they weren't from the worship hall. The Holy Ghost Church had actually deployed two evil soul masters here. It seemed like they must have hatched some kind of plot. Huo Yuhao squinted and strengthened the release of his spiritual power. Right now, both he and Tang Wutong were within his spiritual interference domain. The two evil soul masters couldn't tell their appearances. His immense spiritual power also kept the two evil soul masters busy, such that they couldn't be bothered with anything else for now. Both parties were at a stalemate, but the battlefield was thundering. Lights were also scattering everywhere. The Soul Formation, at the top of the northern city walls, was also being intensely bombed. Its linked defense was on the verge of collapsing. The Sun Moon Empire had deployed a total of 150 soul engineers here. 100 of them were at the bottom of the city walls, while the other 50 were deployed at the top. Although the soul engineers at the top used their powerful linked defense to resist the attack of the Tang Sect Soul Engineer Legion, they were also being drained much more quickly. If this were a normal situation, where the enemies came from outside the city, the soul engineers in the city would be able to hang on. They could even combine their linked defenses at the top and bottom of the walls, generating an even stronger defense. However, things were extremely chaotic at the bottom right now. Bei Bei and the other three were mercilessly killing soul engineers within the Soul Formation. How could anyone even be bothered by what was going on at the top? This was why Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong were not anxious at all. Whether it was Bei Bei and the other three, or He Kai-tu who managed to achieve what they wanted, Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong stood to benefit. If they weren't anxious, they wouldn't easily reveal their own flaws. This was the simplest fighting strategy, but it was very effective. The two evil soul masters soon realized this, and they turned extremely grim. While Huo Yuhao was stunned by them, they were also equally astonished by the fact that so many powerful individuals had appeared here. In addition, there was even a Soul Engineer Legion. How strong was the Tang Sect Soul Engineer Legion? In the sky, every figure shone with the light of 6 soul rings. The entire Soul Engineer Legion was made up of soul emperors. Perhaps the Tang Sect Soul Engineer Legion might be less well-equipped than the outstanding Soul Engineer Legions of the Sun Moon Empire. However, not a single Soul Engineer Legion, even in the Sun Moon Empire, was as well-equipped with soul masters as the Tang Sect Soul Engineer Legion. Not even the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineer Legion was an exception. Given this, the soul engineers at the top of the city walls were about to be taken down under the all-out attack of the Tang Sect Soul Engineer Legion. All of you are courting death. The titled Doluo on the left shouted before he lifted his right hand. His body immediately shone with 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 5 black soul rings. A pitch-black flag also appeared within his grasp. This entire flag was black, even up to its flagpole. However, there subtly seemed to be countless purplish-black indignant souls flashing above this flag. Myriad Soul Banner. This evil soul master's nickname was Myriad Soul. He was the Myriad Soul Doluo, a rank 91 evil titled Doluo. The other evil soul master by his side also unleashed his martial soul. The Myriad Soul Doluo was a tool soul master, while he was a beast soul master. His body immediately expanded, and his skin seemed as if it were going to tear apart. Thick greenish fog quickly spread from his body. Very soon, he was more than 20 meters tall, and his waistline grew to more than 20 meters. He was like a monster now. He was actually a living creature, an abomination, that existed in Huo Yuhao's spectral demiplane too. Huo Yuhao started to recite incantations. Tang Wutong flashed, and came in front of him. He placed both his hands on her slim waist, maintaining their Haodong power. Tang Wutong's eyes suddenly turned extremely bright. Sonorous dragon roars rang through the air. In front of her, a huge golden dragon head gradually surfaced. Following this, the dragon head opened its mouth wide, and balls of golden light shot towards the two evil soul masters. This was the second soul skill of the radiant dragon butterfly, Dragon God's Fury. It was important to remember that Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong could unleash the abilities of a transcendent Doluo when they came together as one entity. This was Dragon God's Fury, at the level of a transcendent Doluo. Every ball of light appeared very real. Wherever they passed, the air would actually weirdly collapse. It was as if the air was a wall, which was dented as the Dragon God's Fury shot past. It was indeed very weird. The myriad soul Doluo's figure flashed before he arrived in front them. His myriad soul banner moved along with the winds, and tragic screams echoed as sinister winds blew. The banner was about to engulf the balls of light unleashed by Dragon God's Fury. Something weird happened at this moment. The balls of light suddenly unfurled in mid-air, turning into small golden dragons. These dragons bared their teeth as they clawed towards the banner. The avenging spirits that were released from the myriad soul banner were instantly torn apart, as they faced the golden dragons, which were filled with an aura of light. Suddenly, the sky turned extremely bright, and the sinister aura that was previously in the air was swept away under the effect of Dragon God's Fury. The myriad soul Doluo's expression changed immediately. These avenging spirits were the source of his strength. He shouted, and the third soul ring of his myriad soul banner shone brightly. His myriad soul banner enlarged 10 times over, and reached towards all the small golden dragons. The abomination Doluo had already taken a big step by now, and was charging towards Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong. The enlarged myriad soul banner was actually very resilient. When it engulfed all the small golden dragons, it seemed as if countless souls had devoured them. Instantly, it really felt as if Dragon God's Fury had been completely suppressed. A cold look flashed across Tang Wutong's face. The golden dragon head in front of her shone brightly all of a sudden. Following this, tremendous booms rang from the myriad soul banner. The myriad soul Doluo shouted in fury and quickly staggered back. The aura released from his myriad soul banner seemed to weaken a little. Evidently, he had suffered greatly from Tang Wutong's retaliation. Evil soul masters could indeed curb most martial souls. However, Tang Wutong's top-grade radiant dragon butterfly couldn't be curbed by any ordinary evil soul master. If not for the fact that Huo Yuhao was reciting incantations right now, which affected the circulation of their Haodong power, Tang Wutong would have been able to hurt the myriad soul Doluo with her earlier blow, given her abilities. At this moment, the abomination Doluo rushed forward. He opened his arms, and a huge patch of greenish fog swept towards Tang Wutong and Huo Yuhao. A dark greenish fluid also seeped out from his skin as his terrifying figure approached. A huge chain also appeared in the abomination Doluo's hand. On a closer look, one could discover that it was formed by linking skulls together. These skulls didn't belong to humans. Instead, they seemed to come from different living creatures. They were filled with intense vengeance and sinister auras. At the top of the chain, there was a hook made from an unknown bone structure. As the abomination Doluo swung his hand forward, his huge chain whipped towards Tang Wutong's head. Compared to the abomination Doluo, Tang Wutong was extremely small. However, she was still fearless in the face of such a powerful opponent. She lifted her arms in front of her body and clasped her palms above her head. Her dragon wings came together at this point, engulfing Huo Yuhao within them. A giant blade of light appeared in mid-air, as if it had just cut open the heavens. It was more than 10 meters long. As Tang Wutong swept her hands down, the huge blade slashed down, echoing the furious roar of a dragon at the same time. Ding! The abomination Doluor's chain collided against the blade of light, and was instantly struck away. 3 different projections suddenly appeared on the abomination Doluor's body. He wanted to avoid the incoming blade. However, the blade was simply too quick. As light flashed, the abomination Doluor roared furiously. The 3 projections combined to form one, and a huge wound appeared on the abomination Doluor's shoulder. This was the result even after he used a defensive soul skill to take most of the offensive strength from the light blade. Otherwise, he would be in an even more tragic state. Tang Wutong was forcefully resisting 2 evil title Doluor. Not only did she not lose out, but she even suppressed her opponents. The myriad soul Doluor had caught his breath by now. He was staring fiercely at Tang Wutong. His 6th soul ring lit up, and he raised his myriad soul banner up high. His black banner exuded a bluish rippling glow, causing it to appear deep blue. This deep blue was as deep as the color of the sea. Following this, 12 avenging spirits flew out from the banner. These avenging spirits were all deep blue. They appeared to be different from ordinary avenging spirits. These spirits actually possessed a form of their own. One of them was even a living creature, with a human body and a fish tail. This avenging spirit had long hair that flowed all the way behind his head. Its entire body even exuded a blue glow. It was just that there was spirit fire dancing in its eyes. The other 11 avenging spirits also took different forms. The only similar characteristic between all of them was that they were aquatic creatures. They should be aquatic soul beasts. This evil soul master actually controls the avenging spirits formed from aquatic soul beasts. The avenging spirits of 12 aquatic soul beasts appeared. Apart from that mermaid avenging spirit, the other 11 avenging spirits flew towards Tang Wutong. Each of them released a powerful aura. The mermaid avenging spirit lifted her head. She seemed to sigh. After that, a weird voice was heard from her mouth. Her voice was captivating, but she sounded like she was sobbing. She made one feel like crying. Tang Wutong was stunned when she heard this voice. She was about to unleash her next soul skill, but she paused. It was also at this moment that the 11 avenging spirits encircled her. One of them, which looked like a shark, picked up speed and charged in front of Tang Wutong. It opened its huge mouth and was about to bite her. While these avenging spirits were only spiritual entities, they could inflict more harm than real entities. This was because they could directly harm souls. However, Tang Wutong was Tang Wutong. She was a 9-ringed title Doluor. She was even a title Doluor with top-grade twin martial souls. Although the voice of the mermaid avenging spirit impacted her, she immediately regained her awareness. She mimicked a lifting action. In front of her, a huge hexagram array that was more than 5 meters in diameter suddenly surfaced. Following this, a huge beam of light shot into the sky. Ever since she got back with Huo Yuhao, Tang Wutong had separated some parts from her martial soul before fusing with them again later on. After her memory was fully restored, she was not only able to use every soul skill of her evolved martial souls, but she was also able to use the unevolved soul skills that Wang Donga had possessed. Right now, she was using the hexagram array. The beam of light unleashed from the gigantic hexagram array was filled with spiritual undulations and an aura of light. The moment the shark avenging spirit touched it, it let out a tragic scream and was glued to it. It couldn't escape even if it wanted to. Tang Wutong forcefully stomped the ground with her left foot. Suddenly, the hexagram array shone brightly, and the light also intensified. The shark avenging spirit completely melted as a result. At this moment, the other 10 avenging spirits stalled. The reason why they were so strong was because they conserved some fighting capabilities, and even streaks of soul memories. This was why they could feel fearful too. Evidently, they knew that Tang Wutong could completely curb them. Tang Wutong didn't care about all that. As she stomped her foot, her 4th soul ring also lit up. A strange layer of bluish gold scales engulfed her body, turning into dazzling dragon armor. A huge golden dragon also started to revolve around her body. This was her 4th soul skill, Dragon God's Possession. Tang Wutong's figure flashed, and she charged towards the abomination Doluor. She punched her right fist into the air. Suddenly, a terrifying blast rang in the air. This time, all space within a few hundred square meters seemed to collapse. The abomination Doluo, who had just caught his breath, was delayed for a moment. After this, he saw a bright golden fist in front of him. Compared to the abomination Doluo, Tang Wutong was simply too small. However, at this instant, the abomination Doluo felt a great sense of fear. It was as if this fist could crush the entire sky. When Tang Wutong and Huo Yuhao were together, Huo Yuhao was generally the one who attacked. However, this didn't mean that she couldn't fight. On the contrary, Huo Yuhao might not even be able to beat Tang Wutong in a duel. After Tang Wutong's martial soul evolved, Huo Yuhao had the feeling that it was like a fusion of Wang Dong's radiant butterfly goddess and Wang Qiu's golden dragon. In terms of physical strength and power, it had completely inherited Wang Qiu's best abilities. This was why Tang Wutong was extremely terrifying right now. As Tang Wutong charged out, she disabled her connection to Huo Yuhao. However, even so, she was still a titled Doluo, and a powerful one at that. Boom! A tremendous boom echoed. The abomination Doluo used his fists to block her attack. He had already used all his strength and unleashed all his power. What he was most adept at was in fact his physical strength. However, the clash of fists caused him to be flung back. As for the tiny Tang Wutong, she remained motionless in the air. It was also at this moment that a pitch-black door appeared behind Huo Yuhao. If not for the fact that he had finished reciting his incantations, Tang Wutong wouldn't have left his side. A giant foot walked out from the pitch-black door. What appeared next was a massive creature. It was a giant, was even bigger than a Terra Knight. It was the undead Ice Bear King, Bai. Huo Yuhao didn't move, and stood where he was. His spiritual senses had already covered the entire place. The reason why he summoned Bai wasn't because he and Tang Wutong couldn't deal with the two evil-titled Doluo. Rather, he needed to control the entire scene. He was the chief commander of the entire army, and not just fighting on his own. He had to minimize the number of casualties. Therefore, he had to focus on other aspects too, rather than just his own fight. If this was before, fighting two evil-titled Doluo would be potentially fatal. However, he didn't really regard them as a threat right now. Bai squeezed out from the door and immediately roared. He took a step forward. After this, he charged towards the abomination Doluo. Tang Wutong drifted in mid-air. She was completely covered in dragon armor, and her wings were open behind her back. As a golden dragon revolved around her body, she was like a goddess of war. She raised her right hand, and a beam of golden light shone. It was the golden dragon spear that had belonged to Wang Qiu before. Every day, Huo Yuhao cultivated with Tang Wutong. As he familiarized himself with her abilities, he passed the golden dragon spear to her. In her hands, it was indeed much stronger, as she used it with her radiant dragon butterfly. The spear drew an arc in the air, and a golden halo spread outward. The 10 aquatic avenging spirits were forced back. At the same time, Tang Wutong turned her attention to the myriad soul Doluo. Whether it was the myriad soul Doluo or the abomination Doluo, they didn't expect their opponents to be so strong. Tang Wutong's consecutive strikes left them very frustrated. Furthermore, they couldn't tell how strong she was. Was she a transcendent Doluo? Only a transcendent Doluo could possibly suppress them. Otherwise, she shouldn't be so strong even if she had a light-type martial soul. The myriad soul Doluo turned serious. He couldn't be bothered with what the Ice Bear King was. At this moment, Tang Wutong had completely locked onto him, and a life-or-death fight was about to break out. The myriad soul Doluo's 7th soul ring shone, and he turned ethereal. After this, he swept his right hand down, and his banner fell to the ground. Following this, it expanded once again. As for the myriad soul Doluo, he turned into an intense ball of red light. A weird scene appeared. An image surfaced on the originally pitch-black banner. This image was blood red and seemed to be similar to the myriad soul Doluo's face. However, the image of him appeared to be much fiercer. Myriad soul true body. This was the myriad soul Doluo's seventh soul skill. He had actually turned into an avenging spirit, and become the main soul of his banner. A low-pitched groan sounded. As sinister winds blew, the entire soul formation turned dimmer. A cold and sinister aura filled the air, as the screams of countless avenging spirits echoed. Domain-type soul skill. After the myriad soul Doluo unleashed his martial soul true body, he actually unleashed a domain-type ability. No wonder he was an evil title Doluo. Tang Wutong revealed a cold look on her face. Domain-type skill. A domain created by his banner would likely strengthen all his avenging spirits. However, does he really think that's going to work? The image of the myriad soul Doluo wasn't small. He had evidently realized that it wasn't enough for him to deal with Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong. He needed to deal with the others who had entered the soul formation too. This was why he used his strongest skill, Myriad Soul Domain. To use this domain-type skill, the requirements were very strict. First, he had to unleash his martial soul true body. In addition, it was also his eighth soul skill. The combination of two powerful soul skills enabled the myriad soul Doluo to unleash his greatest strength. Earlier, he was already very angry when Tang Wutong killed one of his aquatic avenging spirits. Seeing that the undead Ice Bear King was out too, he knew that he no longer stood a chance if he didn't turn to his most powerful skill. Evil Soul Masters were most adept at fighting en masse. He had relied on his evil martial soul to turn the tables many times. Initially, when Huo Yuhao first faced Evil Soul Masters, a corpse explosion had caused many elite members of Shrek Academy to suffer greatly. This was how Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong had gained the opportunity to take part in the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Dueling Tournament. It was a pity that they weren't like they were before. The deep blue mermaid avenging spirit expanded to 3 times its original size. The banner was no longer visible, but this mermaid avenging spirit was extremely obvious. Tang Wutong flew back. If it were any ordinary person in this myriad soul domain, he wouldn't be able to see anything. However, as Huo Yuhao was around, did it really matter that she couldn't see anything? Tang Wutong came to Huo Yuhao's side in a flash. After this, the temperature in the entire soul formation fell tremendously. Huo Yuhao was at the center of it. In the air, snowflakes started to fall. What about Xiao Xiao? In fact, she also possessed twin martial souls. Yes, Xiao Xiao, the girl who usually kept a low profile, was a soul master with twin martial souls. Among Shrek's 7 monsters, she was the third person, other than Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong, who had twin martial souls. They were the cream of the crop among the new students of Shrek Academy back then. Even though Xiao Xiao rarely sparred with anyone, that did not mean she was weak. Under the powerful effects of the Qiankuan fortune pill, her cultivation had improved tremendously. Also, she was the direct disciple of Elder Xian, who was an actual ultimate Doluo. If he was willing to hand his teachings over to Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong, why would he not teach his final disciple? Hence, amongst everyone present, Huo Yuhao was undoubtedly the person who had the most confidence in her. Seeing how Huo Yuhao had given his consent, Ji Juechen said, "All right, let's do it then." He Kai too became anxious as he tried to grab Xiao Xiao's arm. "Xiao Xiao, you shouldn't. This is too dangerous. What am I going to do if something bad happens to you?" Xiao Xiao replied casually, "Then go and find another person." He Kai too was angered by her words. "What do you mean by find another person? I only want you. Besides, you have already done that to me. You must take responsibility." His words hit everyone like a bolt from the blue. After hearing He Kai tu's words, Shu Sansha immediately pulled Jiang Nan Nan back, as they returned to listen to the juicy gossip. Bei Bei's eyes also widened in disbelief, while Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong looked at Xiao Xiao with a surprised expression. Xiao Xiao immediately became the center of attention. She started blushing as she glared at He Kai tu in a vicious manner. "Can you not spout rubbish? You're spoiling my spiritual state. You're going to be responsible if I lose later. And stop asking weird questions like who will be responsible for you and who did what with you." If you continue to ask stupid questions like that, I will ignore you. After seeing Xiao Xiao blush, He Kaitu frantically said, how can you fight against Juechen when you're so flustered now? Come, let's go and cultivate by the side to calm your mind and heart down. As he spoke, he was about to pull Xiao Xiao away. However, his pull was ineffective. Xiao Xiao's feet seemed to be rooted to the ground. Of course, He Kaitu would not use his real strength to pull her away. However, he could sense the determination in her to spar with Ji Juechen. As he lowered his head to look at her, he was surprised by the look on her face. Xiao Xiao's eyes had grown calm, and the flustered look on her face had disappeared. What was left was a look of calmness and determination. Xiao Xiao, you. Kaitu. Xiao Xiao's voice was very gentle. I know you treat me well and are afraid that I will get hurt. I understand how you feel towards me. But you must know that I will not only become your wife in the future. At the same time, I will still be a member of Shrek's 7 monsters. All these years, I have seen how Yuhao has fought countless battles in the north and the south. All of you have also been busy with projects within the Tang sect. But what about me? Under your protection, I have been like a bird who is unable to spread her wings. I know you care for me and dote on me. But I do not want to be a flower in a greenhouse. And I have the abilities to not be a flower in a greenhouse. I can stay strong without your protection. I am not just your lover and partner. In times of war, I can be your companion who can fight alongside you and help everyone. I have never cut myself any slack on my training in all these years. And I train hard, because I want to help everyone on the battlefield. But all of you have subconsciously excluded me from any dangerous or challenging tasks. I want this to stop, and I want to prove to all of you that I, Xiao Xiao, also possess the ability to become a true member of Shrek's 7 monsters. So please don't stop me, Kaitu. Let me prove it to you, alright? Xiao Xiao's words silenced everyone, as they started to ask themselves if that was truly the case. Jiang Nan empathized with her words most strongly. Other than Tang Wutong, she was the only female among Shrek's 7 monsters along with Xiao Xiao. Even though Tang Wutong was able to fight alongside Huo Yuhao, and had experienced so much, both Jiang Nan and Xiao Xiao were always living under the care and protection of everyone else. Hence, after hearing Xiao Xiao's words, which resonated strongly in her heart, she let go of Shu Sanqi's hand and walked towards Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao, I support you. Xiao Xiao held Jiang Nanan's hand and smiled. She was truly beautiful. He Kaitu was a little dazed after staring at her beautiful smile. It took him a while before he shook it off and revealed an understanding smile. He sighed before saying, I am sorry, Xiao Xiao. I must have neglected your feelings. Xiao Xiao let go of Jiang Nanan's hand before walking towards He Kaitu. She actually dove into his embrace in front of everyone. No, Kaitu. I am really fortunate and blissful to have you. To be honest, I actually hesitated back then when I chose you. But afterwards, I understood how right I was to have chosen you. Kaitu, I really enjoy receiving the care and concern you have for me. But I am so sad to see how hard you work every day. I really want to help you. He Kaitu hugged her tightly as he stared at her lovingly. Ji Juechen, who had been standing by the side, suddenly slapped his forehead and muttered, why do I suddenly feel like I'm the antagonist of this show? After hearing his words, everyone burst into laughter. Bei Bei smiled and replied, Brother Ju, you are truly the biggest antagonist in our Tang sect. Who asked you to challenge people to fights every day? Ji Juechen sighed, I don't really have a choice. In order to improve, I must find people to spar with. I am terribly sorry if I have inconvenienced you. But I will not change my ways, and will continue to challenge all of you to fights. Then bring it on. Xiao Xiao escaped from He Kaitu's embrace, and her eyes were already burning with her desire to win. Ji Juechen nodded and said, Xiao Xiao, I will not go easy on you because you're a girl. Who needs you to go easy on me? We don't even know who will be victorious yet. As she spoke, she moved to a position that placed her moderately far away from Ji Juechen and opposite him. Now, no one would stop them from sparring. They slowly moved back to give them space. Tang Wutong whispered into Huo Yuhao's ear. If Xiao Xiao loses, it will be my turn next, okay? Huo Yuhao smiled. Are you itching to get into a battle, after dealing with the two evil soul masters? Tang Wutong waved her little fist in front of Huo Yuhao and said, nope. I just want you men to know that us ladies are not that easy to bully. We are not weaker than men. Huo Yuhao smiled. Why do I have the feeling that I am your real target instead of Brother Ji? Tang Wutong raised her head and replied, if I were to challenge you to a duel, would you accept it? Huo Yuhao was shocked. You're not being serious, right? Tang Wutong replied, why not? Yuhao, don't you feel like you can't find your own limits after our previous closed-door cultivation? It's bad for us to not be able to accurately determine how strong we are. We will not be able to decide on the most effective way to deal with our enemies. Actually, Brother Ji's cultivation method has many areas that are worth learning from. Regardless of what abilities we possess, we are only able to truly understand those abilities by sparring and exercising them. Huo Yuhao mulled over her words before saying, what you say makes sense. But I don't think I can get myself to attack you. Tang Wutong burst into laughter and said, don't worry. I'll go easy on you. Are you so certain that you can beat me? Huo Yuhao asked with raised eyebrows. Of course, Tang Wutong answered proudly, don't forget I'm already a titled Doluo, while you're still a soul Doluo. But I also have a soul core, Huo Yuhao replied, this makes me pretty similar to a titled Doluo. Tang Wutong said, if you don't agree with me, you can always challenge me. Huo Yuhao said, so be it. Let's do it after Xiao Xiao and Brother Ji are done. During their conversation, the way they stared into each other's eyes seemed as though they were about to launch into a brawl. But it only stayed that way for a short while before both of them burst into laughter. Yes. No matter what, they would never really fight with one another. Nonetheless, both of them were still fairly competitive. In fact, they were both really excited at the prospect of sparring with one another. It was exactly because they understood each other so well that they could not be certain who would emerge victorious. Ji Juechen and Xiao Xiao faced each other, and without communicating, both of them took a few steps back. Since it was a proper spar, it had to be fair. Both of them retreated until there were about 50 meters between them. Xiao Xiao specialized in mid-range combat, while Ji Juechen was most adept at close quarters. If the distance was too far, it would not be fair to Ji Juechen. If it were too close, it would be unfair to Xiao Xiao. 50 meters was just nice for both of them. Both Ji Juechen and Xiao Xiao stood upright and stared at each other. Xiao Xiao once again radiated a calm aura, as though she was becoming one with her surroundings. This time, Ji Juechen was not the only one who felt that Xiao Xiao's abilities were unpredictable. Even her other companions could sense it. Bei Bei could not help but nod. That's right. Regardless of whether it's Xiao Xiao or Jiang Nan Nan, all of us have grown a lot. Even they are no longer little girls who everyone needs to protect. They can all take on the world themselves. Xiao Xiao's soul rings started to rise from her feet. Her first soul ring was yellow, but the subsequent ones were all black. All 7 of her rings hung quietly around her as a flute appeared in her hands. The first martial soul which she released was not her main martial soul, the 3-live soul crush cauldron, but her second martial soul, the Ninephoenix worshipping flute. This video will end here.